Hi, I'm Casey Tribute, Lonesome Cowboy from the barn up here in Wyoming. I got what every entrepreneur loves to hear, golden words to my ears over the weekend. My youngest daughter, 22 years old, and she's had a rough life, but we'll tell you about that later. My youngest daughter, 22 years old, comes up to me and says, "Dad, do you think I could run a business?" Oh, honey, I think that is wonderful news. I would love to see you be in business, and I would love to be the one that helps you get there. She was excited. She was probably hoping I'd write a big check so she could get a store opened up someplace. I said, whoa, you've got a few things that you need to learn first, and these are the rules of how to be a successful leader. Number one, you've got to be a good follower, and that means you need to go out and spend the next 2 or 3 years learning how to be a good employee. Because so far you've been through a lot of jobs. Her curiosity peaks up and says, "Well, what do you mean by that, Dad?" Honey, there are 3 things, and every one of us should be telling our kids this. When you get a job, there are 3 things that you need to do. Number 1 is to be dependable. Show up on time. As a matter of fact, I tell my children, show up at every shift 10 to 15 minutes early and be ready to work when it's time to start. Don't expect to get paid. Come in there just a few minutes early and be ready. And then at the end of the shift, stay a few minutes late. Wrap up, clean up, prepare for the next shift, prepare for the next day. But even at minimum wage, come in a few minutes early, leave a few minutes late, but most of all, be on time and be dependable. Rule number 1. Rule number 2, be respectful. When you're asked to do something, to go, "Oh, I don't want to do that," or "Do I have to do that again?" I mean, the things that you did when you were a teenager and whining about doing the dishes, well, that doesn't cut it anymore. And the employer isn't like your mom and dad. They don't have to put up with you. And there are a lot of other kids who want these jobs. And so they'll send you down the road. So I would like you to practice on being enthusiastic and respectful whenever you're asked to do anything at work. But here's the third rule. The third rule is to follow instructions and to make sure you're following them exactly the way you were told to do things. And that's it. If you can just remember to do these 3 things for the next 2 or 3 years, following the leader, show up on time, be respectful, and follow instructions, then you'll be ready for step number 2. Well, she's looking at me and she says, "Well, Dad, how will I know when step number 2 comes along?" Oh, it'll come sooner than you think, and I'll tell you who's going to step you up is your current boss. Your boss will be so excited that you understand the first 3 rules. Be on time, be respectful, and follow instructions. They're going to be so excited that they're going to introduce you to more responsibility. And that's the second set of 3 rules that you need to work on. It starts with the word responsibility. If you want to make more than minimum wage, if you want to learn how to be a leader, then on your second phase of development, learn responsibility. Now, what this means is you're responsible. If you're in charge of keeping the kitchen clean and somebody comes in at the last minute and dumps a bucket of slop across the floor and the boss walks in 5 minutes later, you don't get to blame the person that dumped the bucket of slop. You have to take responsibility for what just happened. And this goes on and on and on, because not only do you take responsibility for things that go wrong, but you get to take responsibility for what went right. And so when your division or your department or your store beats the sales records for the shift, or if the boss does come in and they sees the place looks great, you get to take responsibility. But here's how you do it. When the boss walks in and says, "Boy, this place looks great," you'll say, "Carol and Bob helped us, and I was able to make it the way you like it, boss." Take credit for things working. So you're responsible when they go wrong. You're responsible when they go right. Never assign blame when something goes wrong, though. Believe me, the boss will figure it out. And share the credit when things go right. Now, that's part 1 of the next 3 steps. And I'm explaining this to my daughter so that she'll understand that running a business requires her to know how to be an employee first, and then how to be a leader, and then she can be an entrepreneur. And I told her at 22, you've not demonstrated this kind of experience. You've not shown us that you can do this. So I want to see you in the next 5 years working for somebody else. Learn how to be an adult. In the second phase of your development, show the boss you have a sense of responsibility, and they are going to be tickled pink with you. Second thing you want to do is start using critical thinking. Now, this she was totally confused by. Critical thinking, honey, means that whenever an event happens, you need to ask yourself, 3 questions. Question number 1 is, what happened before this event? For example, if the pricing on the product gets done wrong, and that's in your department, you're in lingerie, you're the assistant manager of lingerie, and the pricing is done wrong, now you've got a problem that you're going to have to fix. But your question is, and you're responsible for this, by the way, your question is, what happened before pricing was done wrong? That's critical thinking. The second question you always ask yourself, whenever there's an event, good or bad, what happened while this event was going on? Was I out of the building? Was the price list missing? What happened while this event was taking place? And the third question you always ask yourself is, what's going to happen after this event? So if we underprice our products or make some sort of an error, are we going to have to do a lot of refunds? Are we going to be losing inventory and money out the door? What's going to happen after this event that's going to change things? Am I going to have to let this employee go because it's the 4th time I've given them instructions and they won't take instructions, which, remember, were the first 3 basics for minimum wage. So honey, here are the things you want to do, and your boss will give you opportunities when he sees you doing a good job. He'll ask you to take responsibility. He'll expect you to use critical thinking skills so you can add more value. But let me give you the third one. This is the most important of all. And this is the one that will make the difference between you being a success in business and in life or just getting by. Remember, your job is to help the owner get what they want. And they may want more sales, they may want more lower cost, they may want better production in your department, but whatever the owner wants, your job is to make sure they get more of it and look for ways to add value in this. How can I make sure the sales are getting there? How can I make sure that we're delivering the product we should? If you do these things in this second set of 3 questions, assume responsibility, use critical thinking skills, even if you have to write these questions down until you become experienced at it, and remember, your job is to help the boss get what they want. If you do these things over the next 3 to 5 years, you'll learn how to not only be a follower, you'll learn how to be a leader. Then I want you to come back to me, because it doesn't matter what kind of business you go into. It doesn't matter what kind of skill sets realistically, or what the market's like, or what the hot thing of the day is. There are millions and millions of opportunities every day. There is so much work to get done in America. It's amazing that anybody is unemployed. There's just so much to get done. Come back to me in a couple of years with those experiences under your belt, and your mom and dad will finance you, and you'll be off on your own. It's Casey Trivia, Lonesome Cowboy. Let's keep that cash register ringing.